My S tampered with my pregnancy medication and took legal action because I wouldn't name my baby after her ex-husband. I am 29 years old and pregnant with my first child. My husband Luke is 29 years old. Luke and I have been trying to start a family, and it seemed to be a difficult journey, full of waiting, trying, and disappointment. After many doctor's appointments for testing and feeling like we had exhausted all of our options, we finally got the news we had been craving for so long. I was pregnant. My sister-in-law, Lele 34F. Lele was going through a rough time emotionally. She was married to Joe until a few years ago when she had an affair with Joe's brother, which led to a messy divorce that shocked everyone. When I announced my pregnancy, Lila was initially very excited and wanted to be a part of it, and I thought she was just happy to be an aunt, which was great. But soon her excitement turned weird, and after I told her the news, she started suggesting names for the baby. At first I thought it was normal family enthusiasm, but then I noticed that every name was a variation of Joe. Not exactly Joe, but clearly a reference to him. I felt embarrassed, but politely told her that we would choose our own names, and I thought that would make her understand. But that wasn't the case. Lila kept insisting on sending us lists of baby names, all of which were related to Joe, and even though I had set a limit, she would still say things like how much it meant to the family or claim that Joe would be honored to have his name. My doctor prescribed me some special medication that worked well, and I followed all the rules. One day, I told LLA I was going to get a new description, and she said she could pick up my meds for me while she was out. After taking the medication Lila picked up for me, I started to feel really sick, dizzy and nauseous, and didn't feel right. I thought might be a new symptom of being pregnant, but my condition worsened, and I had to go to the emergency room to get some tests done. I was blown away by her response. She joked at first that she chose to take a bigger dose herself because she wanted me to pay for her not choosing to name my baby after her ex-boyfriend. I got really angry, and I ended up going to the ER where she didn't seem to understand how serious her behavior was, and she claimed she was just trying to help me. I told her that her behavior was illegal and dangerous and could hurt me and my child. It wasn't until then that she began to apologize, but at that moment I felt she was insincere. But what I couldn't accept was that if she really cared about my health, she wouldn't have changed my medication without telling me, especially when I was pregnant. Some of my relatives thought what we did was too extreme and got the police involved, saying she was just trying to help. I'm worried that I'm overreacting, especially since some family members are upset with me and say it's destroying our family, but I also feel like she crossed the line, and that can't be ignored. I don't like that it's come to this, but I feel like I have no choice, and maybe facing the legal consequences will make her realize how serious her actions are. I wanted to update you all on my situation with my sister-in-law, Lila. Things have changed in unexpected ways since my last update, and I am still dealing with what La did while dealing with the fallout incident. But just as I was about to accept her apology, she said something that caught me completely off guard. She said in a dismissive manner that I should understand that she was just trying to help, and that it felt as if she was trying to pass the buck instead of taking responsibility for the fact that she was telling people that my baby wasn't Luke's. And she claimed that was the reason why I didn't want to name the baby after a family member. I couldn't believe it. Not only did she try to misrepresent her behavior, but she got my marriage and my child's paternity involved in this mess. I directly questioned her as to why she made such an accusation, and instead of admitting it, she perfunctorily told me that it was a misunderstanding and that she didn't mean it that way, which was hard for me to accept. She seemed to be trying to distract everyone from her careless behavior and make me look like the problem in the house. This manipulative behavior frustrates me, and I keep thinking about how I tried to protect my child by giving her a healthy pregnancy, only to have her become suspicious. We must protect our children and dispel the misconceptions about our family. The fallout from this was severe, with some family members reaching out to support us, while others criticized us and said we were creating unnecessary problems. As time went on, it became clear that Lila wasn't backing down. She was sticking to her story and trying to make herself look like the victim. Lila's behavior also affected my relationship with other family members, and some relatives were concerned that it would change our future gatherings and interactions. After I've spoken to friends outside of my family, and their advice has been eye-opening, many have advised me to stay strong and keep track of Lila's every word and action, as it could hurt my family. I'm really frustrated and tired, and if things escalate too much, we might actually have to do something serious. Update 2. Hello, everyone. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I have a lot to tell you about what's going on in my life right now. At this sensitive time for me, I just want to focus on my health and preparing for our baby, and not worry all the time about what Lelele is going to say next. Luke has been through it all, and he has been incredible. He supports me every day and makes me feel safe. He and his parents called Lila and told her to stop spreading lies and warned her that if she didn't, they would cut her off completely. We all hoped that this would make her realize the gravity of the situation and change her behavior. She's acting like a victim, saying we're overreacting and she's just trying to help, whatever that means. I find it hard to believe that she would twist the truth like that, especially after her past behavior. I was scared. She started yelling and accusing me of destroying the home. I was terrified, and I realized how serious things were getting. Luke quickly came up to me and insisted that she leave. I was grateful that he stepped up to the plate, but it opened my eyes to how dangerous the situation was. After discussing it with Luke, we decided to take strong action to protect ourselves from LLA. We agreed to file a restraining order against her. This was something we never thought we would have to do. We began to gather evidence of Lila's behavior. It was hard to remember all the messed up things she had said and done, but we knew it was important, and we documented every instance of her reading out lies and threats. The thought of raising a child in such an unstable environment terrified me. Meanwhile, Lila continued to spread those horrible rumors about her. He explained to relatives what had happened and cleared up any confusion. Some family members were supportive, but others were not. Lila's behavior also affected our relationships with other family members, and some were concerned that it would interfere with future family gatherings. Lila's behavior also affected our relationships with other family members, and some were concerned that it would interfere with future family gatherings. I understood that they wanted to keep the peace, but I couldn't pretend that everything was normal while Lila kept spreading lies about us. I have also started to talk to friends outside of my family about the situation, and their support has been invaluable. They have encouraged me to stay strong and document Lila's behavior. They have helped me realize that I am not overreacting and that I have every right to protect my children. We are working on getting a restraining order, but I am also trying to focus on my pregnancy at the moment, and I really hope we can get a restraining order as Lila's presence in our lives is dangerous for everyone. Hello, everyone. It's been a couple weeks since my last update, and I have a lot to tell you. We finally got a restraining order against Ella, which is a relief. She threatened in an email to harm me and my children if I filed for a restraining order. I was in shock. It was hard to believe that someone I consider family could say something so mean and threatening. I almost couldn't believe what I was reading after reading that email. I felt so strange. I felt scared and angry. How could she think it was okay to threaten me? I couldn't let her control my life anymore, especially at a time when I needed to focus on my health and getting ready for my baby. Luke was understandably angry, and when I showed him that email, he couldn't believe that Lila would go this far. He knew we had to take her threats seriously, so we started making plans to talk to our attorney. It was draining to deal with all of this while I was trying to stay positive during my pregnancy, but I knew I had to be strong for my baby. While we were dealing with the restraining order, I couldn't stop thinking about how much Layla's behavior had changed. I'd always thought of her as family, but now she acted like a stranger who was trying to hurt us instead of helping us. After a rough day, we finally went to court and filed for a restraining order. I was hoping the judge would see how serious our situation was. At the hearing, I shared everything from medication to rumors to Lila's threats. Even with the restraining order in place, I still felt uneasy because Lila had demonstrated her unpredictability, and I was worried that she would contact me again, especially since her behavior had become so erratic. Luke and I discussed how to proceed, and we knew we needed to distance ourselves from Lila, but we also wanted to avoid isolating ourselves from the rest of the family. But we also needed to protect ourselves. Since getting the restraining order, it's been a roller coaster of emotions, and we've had to think about how we're going to handle future family events, especially since LLA knows how to twist a situation to make herself look like the victim. Whenever I hear from my family what Lila has to say, I feel anxious. I have to remind myself that I'm not the problem, that I'm doing my best to protect my family, and that I'm not going to let her control our lives anymore. First of all, we had a baby last month, and I am so happy. Holding our little one made all the worries go away, even if it was just for a moment. There are no words to express the joy of parenthood, and we are so thankful for our healthy baby, who we named Neil, and who has already captured our hearts. As you may recall, we previously filed for a restraining order against her due to her unpredictable behavior and threats against me and our children. It felt good to have legal protection, but I didn't expect things to get any worse when Lara unexpectedly showed up at our house not long after Neil was born. While I was in the nursery soothing Neil, I heard a loud crash from the front door. At first I thought it was someone else, but when I looked out the window I was shocked to see Lara there screaming frantically, demanding to see her little Joe. She was literally screaming at the top of her lungs about how I wouldn't let her see her little Joe, and that if I didn't let her in, she was going to call Child Protective Services. The last thing I needed was for her to come in uninvited. I had to protect my child, and I was having a panic attack because of her. I rushed to grab my cell phone to call Luke, but before I could hit send, I heard the door being pushed open, and she had come in. I don't know how she got in. I also heard her calling my name, and at that moment I felt completely helpless. I could hear Lila shouting. She sounded very angry, and it was clear she wasn't going to back down easily. I couldn't see any other way out, so I called 911. When the police came in, they realized that Lila was still trying to break into the room, so they immediately went in and pulled her back and tried to calm her down. I finally opened the door after the police assured me that Lila was being held down. I stayed in the bedroom and held Neil close and tried to comfort them because all the noise was making him cry, and I was so sad that he was witnessing such chaos so soon in his life. The police were talking to Lila, trying to understand why she had come to our house and what she was up to. Lila's situation was worse than I expected. The police told me that her neighbors had reported her for trespassing on several occasions. The police also found out that she had several unpaid tickets just 2 weeks before she came to our house. She'd been arrested for driving under the influence. I explained to him what had happened, and Luke was angry that Lila had come to our house, but he was thankful that the police had taken care of it. We put more locks on our doors and installed security cameras outside. I wanted to make sure we were safe from any more accidents. Word of what had happened spread quickly, and soon we had family members coming in to ask how we were doing. Lila insisted that we were overreacting and making her life difficult, and portrayed herself as a victim, but she ignored the threats she made and the serious issues that led to the restraining order. This wasn't her first run-in with the law, and after her arrest, we found out that Lila's criminal history was much more serious than we thought, having been involved in multiple thefts and frauds over the years, issues that the family had kept quiet to avoid shame. Discovering all of this came as a shock, especially when Luke and I realized just how much she'd lied to us, and it made us wonder how much of what we'd known about her was true. As more and more of her family and friends learned of her past crimes, her efforts to find sympathy began to fail, and the sympathy she wanted turned into judgment and disappointment from almost everyone around her, realizing that she had crossed many lines and put her family at risk for her own pride, and that most of them had decided to cut her off. And now, with Lila back behind bars for her latest crimes, she had cut off contact with most of her family, and for many years, she had been a woman's best friend. People have cut off contact with her, We have given her chances for years, but those around her have finally seen her for what she really is. Luke and I are at peace knowing that she is out of our lives for good. We have made it clear that we will not allow her to have any contact with us or give her any more chances to manipulate or hurt us. We have taken steps to protect ourselves and, most importantly, our children from any future drama she may create. For what seems like the first time in a long time, we are able to focus wholeheartedly on our family and raising Neil in a safe and welcoming home. The support of our family and friends has been very helpful, and it makes us feel good to know that we have all agreed to keep strict boundaries. The escalation of behavior by someone we once trusted is regrettable, but we have come to recognize the importance of protecting our family and setting clear boundaries when necessary. We don't have to worry about her causing more problems. This experience has taught us to prioritize our peace and security, and that is what we will do moving forward. Hopefully, this will be my last update here. Thank you to everyone who has contacted me and supported me during this time.